Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday Summary. I am your host, Kyle, and Steven will not be with me today, so you guys are just stuck with me, but I'm happy to be here to chat the week that was Liverpool FC with you guys today. Good morning to everyone in the chat. Aaron, Oyvind, Mom, good morning to everyone. Guys, busy week. Busy week. What we're looking at this week is Liverpool advanced to the semifinals of the Carabao Cup after a win over Southampton. Good performance. We saw a lot of players that we don't normally get to see. Namely, I wanted to talk about Trey Neone, who played in that double pivot role, and McAllister was actually pushed to the 10 during that match, which was pretty cool to see. I mean, we're not used to seeing McAllister in an advanced midfield role. And we even saw Harvey Elliott play, and Harvey Elliott even got a goal, guys. I think for me, that match was very exciting because of who scored. You had Darwin Nunez score, and you had Harvey Elliott score. All right, Harvey Elliott has just had shit luck. Really has just had shit luck recently. Really, since he's been promoted to the senior team with injuries. I feel like he's always out with a hamstring. He had that fractured leg a couple years back, 3 years back, maybe. And then he's been out for a while now with another muscle injury. And, you know, maybe that stunted his development a little bit. I know if Steven was here, he would definitely say that Harvey Elliott is his favorite player, and he thinks he's doing fine. I've always been critical of Harvey Elliott. Like, I want to see more from him, but in his quote unquote first game back, for him to score a goal like that, I loved it. That's what I want to see. And I want to see that from Darwin Nunez too. So Darwin Nunez scoring, really, I mean, and that ball from Trent, I mean, we should have won that game anyway, right? And Southampton ended up, I think they fired their manager after that. And so we're going up in the semifinals against Tottenham. And guys, I mean, what more could you want? You got Tottenham today, Carabao Cup semifinals. You're going up against Tottenham. It's going to be a great time. But Merry Christmas to all of you as well. And seriously, guys, I just want to take a moment and let you know, and you guys know this, but those of you who show up and watch the show, those of you, especially channel members, you guys support the channel, right? I mean, this stuff, specifically the streaming and everything isn't cheap. And, you guys supporting it really makes a difference. So I really do appreciate it. And it's Christmas time, so I just wanted to show that I'm thankful for everything. But guys, today is Tottenham. Today is a big match. Man City are falling off a cliff, and we need to capitalize, right? I think Man City are still going to be there by the end of the season, but I'm telling you right now, good morning, Tony. I'm telling you right now, I don't know what's going on with them. I mean, it's kind of crazy that Man City have fallen off a cliff, similar to what we did when we had our entire first team out injured a few years back, and we were stuck with Reece Williams and Ozan Kabak at the back and Nat Phillips for depth. It was kind of crazy, to be honest. But Man City, I just don't know what's going on with them. I really don't. And I saw Jack Grealish, which this was classless, by the way. Jack Grealish holding up the 3. You saw him hold up the 3 fingers, guys, to the fans, the Villa fans chanting against him. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, dude, that's classless, man. Like, why are you getting bothered by that? You chose to leave. You made your bed. You sleep in it. I don't know. It would be like if Coutinho came back, even though I'm not even going to open that can of worms. But Liz, what's going on? Happy match day. We need to score early and often, as always. Guys, I'll read you some match stats here in a minute. But this match is primed for greatness. And it always has. The matchup between Liverpool and Tottenham is always exciting, always brings goals, always brings excitement. I mean, there have been more 90th minute winners in this matchup than any other Premier League matchup. 6 90th minute winners, which is pretty remarkable when you think about it. I mean, I'm thinking back to Bobby Firmino's header during the pandemic. For me, that's like the first one that pops into my head. And I know you guys all think of different ones as well, but It will be a great matchup today. But what I do want to talk about are the injury updates. The only two players we will be without going into this match are Connor Bradley and Ibrahima Konate. Ibrahima Konate out 4 to 6 weeks. Of course, with that muscle injury, he had a good run, but it was only a matter of time before Konate got injured, as we all know. And poor guy. Connor Bradley, our depth, up and coming player, he's injured. What I will say, and I said this last week, we are not having as many injuries at such a frequent volume that we were pretty much any year under Jurgen Klopp. I feel like the injuries are kind of here and there. Elliott and Jota were out for a while. They're back. Now we have Konate and Bradley out. But, it's not like we have 3, 4, 5 players out at one time. So that's always reassuring. But we will be without those two guys. So you're looking at Trent, obviously starting at right back. One thing that was interesting to me midweek against Southampton was Tsimikas didn't start. Now, maybe I missed something. But I'm telling you, he put Gomez there at left back. And I think he did. Yeah, because Kwanzaa started. With Robbo's form, and I was talking about this with a buddy of mine. Robbo is still an excellent left back. His form has fallen off. Questions are starting to be asked about his age. Is he past his prime? Which, we don't have to discuss that. I think it's down to a system, right? He was way more involved and way more forward on the pitch. Like his positioning was completely different when he played in Klopp's system versus Slot's system. And I think that's had an effect on his game. And not in a negative way necessarily, but he's required to do more defending. And there's just questions being asked of Robbo. But with that being said, he did start Gomez instead of Tsimikas at left back. And I just wanted to hear what you guys thought about that. Gomez at left back, arguably it's arguably his best position. He when he has started at center back since Konate's been out, he's been great, right? Or okay, solid, I guess you could say. It's nuts to me that he wouldn't start Tsimikas in the Carabao Cup game, knowing that Gomez and Kwanzaa, his two fit center backs, were playing in the same game. But I don't know. It's just something to think about. I feel like Tsimikas should be starting in those games, no? But maybe I'm overthinking it, guys. I just want to see Tsimikas play more than he has. And at the beginning of the season, we saw Slot rotate much more with the left backs. In fact, both fullbacks, he rotated almost every other game. Or Trent was subbed off in the 75th minute, and Connor Bradley came on. And for a while, Trent was getting pissed off about it. But it seems like that's changed a little bit. And it says Kostas has been injured. And so that must have been what I missed, because when I checked the injury report today, we're just without Connor Bradley and Ibrahima Konate coming in. But I saw Tsimikas on the bench. So, I don't know. Little bit weird for me to, if you're on the bench, you should be starting. Or you should be healthy enough to start, I should say. But regardless, we got the job done. And this team should be going into today's match with no mercy. You should be going in and you should be thinking about putting 5 goals past Tottenham. Okay? We can't slow down now. I want to pull up the table and just look at these results, these fixtures. Arsenal just beat the shit out of Crystal Palace yesterday, let's be honest, 5-1. But Man City losing to Aston Villa is huge, right? Aston Villa were near the top of the table to start the year. And them losing to Aston Villa is really big. Nottingham Forest keeps winning. That to me is crazy, man. That to me is absolutely insane. But let me pull up the table. So now with the game in hand, we got Chelsea 2 games back. Chelsea have found their form, finally. It only took 2 years. But chalk it up to them saying they didn't play anybody, which Steven, I know, has said last week. You can chalk it up to that. But I really think that Chelsea are just turning into a team. We have always criticized, yeah, you're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on these players and nothing is coming of it, right? But after 2 years of doing that, you're going to, by default, build some chemistry. And it looks like Chelsea have found that chemistry. Arsenal have played 17 matches, by the way. So we have 2 games in hand on Arsenal. They are still 3 points behind us. Okay. So a win today is necessary to keep the gap because Chelsea are actually in really good form. But Nottingham Forest, right there in 4th. Okay. Villa's big win against City is really big in terms of European football. Excuse me. Villa were hanging out in 4th for a while, but now they're looking at 28 points, 1 point up on Man City after the win, and Newcastle are finding their way back up as well. But Tottenham, Man United, and Brighton, I just brought up Brighton because they're right there, but really 3 teams that you're expecting to see in the top 6 are just not good this season, and we're halfway we can just chalk it up. We're halfway through the year. We're at Christmas. I mean, you're looking to see more from these teams. And I mean, Tottenham, I don't know. I expected to see more from Tottenham this year. I really did. So Tottenham in 11th with 23 points, 2 points behind Brighton, and Man United with 23 points as well, but that's not important. Liz says Chelsea still sucks. Oyvind says more afraid of Arsenal than Chelsea. Excuse me. Talent-wise, yes. I feel like Arsenal are a better team. And I'm not afraid of Chelsea. I just think it's interesting when, the last 2 seasons we've just been crapping on Chelsea. I pull up the table and Chelsea are in 2nd. You're like, have they figured it out? Because the last thing I want to do, or the last thing I want to see is Chelsea figure it out. Aaron says Chelsea have no League Cup semis and field a separate team for the Conference League. They have a fresh 11 for the league, so will be dangerous. It's a good point. Looking at fresh legs. Ayler says, can Everton do anything at home against Chelsea, I wonder? I don't know. Everton have found their way out of the relegation fight, albeit by 1 point, sitting in 15th, 16 points, only 3 wins, 7 draws, 6 losses, -7 goal difference. It's very possible. It's very possible. You never know. But I mean, the fact of the matter is Everton are just not a good team. What are they going to be able to do against Chelsea, who are arguably a good team now? Not a great team, but they've found out how to win football games. 90 says the only team I'm afraid of is ourselves. Let's talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about how good Liverpool have been. And really, we've only lost to Nottingham Forest, guys. And at the time, you can criticize that saying, what are we doing? Why are we losing to Nottingham Forest? Nottingham Forest are in a Champions League spot right now. Say what you want about Nottingham Forest, but a good football team can beat talent any day. It's 11 aside. You have to play as a team to win, and Nottingham Forest are winning. And I mean, I'm looking at the squad here. Jesus. There's no one. I mean, you got Nico Williams. Alex Moreno's a decent signing. Willie Boley plays for them now. I forgot about that. Milenkovic. Okay. That's right. They got Sangare, Morgan Gibbs-White, Nicholas Dominguez, James Ward. Okay. They're not terrible. They got Awaniyi still, Chris Wood, Hudson Odoi. Look, they're not a bad team. Now, this is typical of teams that, are trying to stay in the top flight for an extended period of time, right? You kind of get a bunch of players on loan, or maybe you get loan option to buy young players that aren't quite in the first team at their respective top 6 club. You take Anthony Elanga, for example, right? But that's not a bad team, right? Every year, I think Nottingham Forest are doing right now what Fulham expects to do every year, because on paper, Fulham are actually a better team. But look at Fulham. I mean, they're in ninth. It's not terrible, mid-table. But I mean, shoot, look at Bournemouth. Bournemouth are doing the same thing. Bournemouth are terrible, and they're in eighth. Taylor says, I have a splendid idea for Salah, Trent, and Van Dijk for a Christmas present. Wrap up a pretty bow, and that's pen and paper. How about that? And Jota said that. You guys saw the interview, right? They asked Jota, they said, like, what would you get Trent for Christmas? And he said, a pen and paper. He's like, so he can sign his new contract. Let me just say, you don't just drop that unless there's some lightheartedness about the topic, right? If Jota knew that there was a stalemate, right, or maybe Trent was going to leave, I don't think he makes that joke, right? Because then it would be kind of shitty. I think everyone on the team knows it's happening, and maybe Trent's just stalling, or whatever the reason is. There has to be good vibes, as the kids would say, about that for him to make that joke. So I'm feeling very positive about that. I'm feeling very positive about all three of them, to be honest. Aylor says, I was really hoping for a contract extension. Yeah. I saw rumors that apparently the same thing is going to happen with Van Dijk, where we announced his transfer from Southampton on December 27th. I've heard the same exact thing is going to happen this year. His extension is going to be announced on the 27th. Who knows if that's true? It's all speculation at this point. It's all speculation at this point. So, Tottenham, guys, I want to pull up some cool stats about this. All right, so listen to this, guys. Liverpool have lost just two of their last 23 Premier League games against Tottenham. They've won 15, drawn 6, and have scored at least once in each of their last 17. And as I mentioned before, it has the most 90th, I can't speak today, the 90th minute winners of any Premier League matchup with 6. Victory for the Reds would see them at top of the Premier League table at Christmas for the first time since, wait for it, 2020, 2021. Interesting. After only failing to win 2 of their first 13 Premier League games, Liverpool have since drawn both of their last 2 in the league. They last drew 3 on the bounce in a single season back in October 2015. Interesting. Which included a goalless draw at Spurs. That's right, the first game. Very, very interesting. Now, the Reds are unbeaten in their last 5 visits to London since a 3-1 loss at Arsenal in February, and they last enjoyed a longer unbeaten run in the capital between September 2020 and September 2021, which is 7. Man, and Salah can set records today. I can't remember what the record was. Hold on. I'll pull that up before we continue reading this. Where's the record? All right, it says Salah is aiming to make Premier League history on Sunday afternoon when Liverpool travel to Tottenham. Where's the record? Salah has scored more league goals against Spurs, 9, than any Liverpool player in history. It includes Dalglish, Ian Rush, Roger Hunt. They each have netted 8. So what's the record? If he scores, he gets 9? No, he has 9. Why would it say Mohamed Salah is aiming to make Premier League history? It's a terrible article. I'm looking for that. You got to lead with that. Anyways. All right, so Trent has had a hand in 4 goals in his last 6 Premier League starts against Tottenham. 6, listen to this guy, 6 of Cody Gakpo's first 8 Premier League goals came away from home. However, 7 of his last 9 have come at Anfield. He's been hot at Anfield. Okay, look for him to start today. And Slot has won 20 of his 24 games in charge of Liverpool in all competitions, which is incredible. If Liverpool avoid defeat, it will only be the 3rd time in their history that they have reached Christmas Day in a season without having been beaten in a match away from home. Is that not crazy? All right. in 1893-94. 1893-94. Their first away loss came in the FA Cup in February of that season, while in 1987-88 they reached March before their first loss on the road. It's legacy for you. All right. I don't want to jinx it because there's always a possibility we lose against Spurs. Okay, so it's a great matchup. Liz, thank you very much for the membership. Appreciate you. Aylor says Tottenham have massive defense problems, but if LFC are sluggish as they usually are the first 45 minutes, Tottenham will be up 2-0. Let's pull this up. Let's look at the defensive numbers. Make sure you smash that like button, guys. Thanks everyone for being here. All right. I hope you guys like the new layout. I tried to edit some stuff yesterday, see if we can make it more appealing because it's been the same thing for like a year now, maybe even more than that. All right, let's share my screen here. All right, let's see how this works out, guys. All right. Where is it? I made this yesterday with intent. See, I definitely spread it. I definitely edited it better than that. Oh, that's annoying. All right, whatever. So, it's a 60% win chance probability for Liverpool, 20% draw, 20% Tottenham win. Now, if we go to Tottenham's defensive record here, which I hope they let us pull it up. Why did it just bring me back here? So, Tottenham have a goal difference of 17, which is pretty insane, actually. Guys, pretty insane. Wow. So, let's take this for what it is at face value. I know it's tough for you guys to see this, okay? I'll have to go back and edit that. But all the teams around them, let's just start with Bournemouth, okay? Bournemouth, who sit 8th in the Premier League table, have a goal difference of 3. Right behind them is Fulham with a goal difference of 2, and then Brighton with 1. Then Tottenham, who sit 11th, have a goal difference of 17. Nobody else around them have that. In fact, you have to go all the way up to 3rd place, Arsenal, who have a goal difference of 18. Then Chelsea with a goal difference of 18, and us, Liverpool, have a goal difference of 18. So that is actually remarkable to me. Now, there have been some matches where Tottenham has put 5 past a team, 4 past a team, right? So they have these blow-up games. But that is remarkable. That tells me that they actually don't have defensive problems. They just lose important games, it seems like. Because you look at goals against for all the teams around them. Man United have 19 goals against, but Man United can't score. Their goal difference is 2. Right? So Tottenham can score. And then the teams ahead of them, Brighton, have allowed in 7 more goals than them. Fulham, 3 more goals. Bournemouth, right? Statistically, strictly speaking, goals and goals against, Tottenham are a top 4 side. So I don't want anyone to get it twisted. I mean, even Nottingham Forest, who are sitting 4th, have a 4-goal difference. Villa, 0-goal difference. Tottenham are randomly sitting down here with a 17-goal differential. I don't know how they've managed to be in 11th with a 17-goal differential. So I think going back to your point, where is it? I saw it. Okay, I lost it. Someone was talking about the defensive struggles for Tottenham. They must have just defensive struggles in big games because on goal differential, they're actually really good. Rocky said, I wish Chelsea will drop some points today. It's still 0-0, right? I don't even know if the game started yet. Do they start at 9 or 9:30 today? And let's go over to Tottenham and look at the squad. Hopefully it's not freezing up for you guys. There we go. It's getting a little laggy for me. Dermot, what's going on, man? Whoops. Yeah, it's definitely. Oh, okay, this thing's getting really laggy. Look at that. Look at that. We're the game of the week. How about that? Oh God, what are all these ads, man? I don't want to see that. Guys, I might have to stop it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why as soon as I share my screen, it all of a sudden becomes super laggy. And I know it's probably like bit rate and all that stuff, but it shouldn't do that. It's never done that before. All right, so let's just pull up Tottenham on the phone. All right, so team stats. I don't want all seasons. I want this season. Thank you. So as I mentioned, 36 goals, 17 against. Okay, 4 clean sheets though. Okay, 4 clean sheets, which is pretty impressive considering what are we, 17, 18 matches into the season, 4 clean sheets. All right. Only 3 errors leading to goal. I mean, to be honest with you, just based on the surface, they're actually pretty good defensively. Now, James Maddison leads their team with 7 goals. You got Brennan Johnson, who's having a heck of a year at 6 goals, and then Dominic Solanke with 5, who at the start of the season, I think he got injured. He hadn't been injured at Bournemouth his entire time there or something like that, and then he got injured right away at Tottenham last season or something like that. I can't remember, but he's still holding strong, 5 goals. Son leads the team with 6 assists, and you got James Maddison with 4 and Dejan Kulusevski with 3. Brennan Johnson, man, he's a good player. Really good player. Destiny Udogie leads the team with tackles with 44. Pedro Porro and Christian Romero behind with 28 and 27, respectively. Now, Christian Romero has the most aerial battles won with 28. And I'm not concerned with that because he's going up against a beast in whoever starts. It's either going to be Gakpo. It might be Jota, actually, so maybe he will win some duels there. But Gakpo or Darwin, both strong players in the air. So team's pretty good. James Maddison, healthy. Heung-min Son, healthy, it looks like. They can score goals. We have to be very vigilant. If I pull up Liverpool here, let's take a look at our stats. Salah, absolutely incredible season he's having. 13 goals, guys, and 9 assists in the Premier League. 13 goals, 9 assists in the Premier League. It's remarkable. Shayna, what's going on? I'll go to the injury news for Tottenham here in a second. I did see that. All right. What do we got here? Mo Salah, 51 shots, guys. He leads the team by a huge margin. Luis Diaz is in second with 24. Alexis McAllister leads the team in tackles, and Trent is second. I did not know this. Trent is second with 35 tackles. He's actually having a really good year defensively. Now, Virgil van Dijk, most aerial duels won, 47. Absolute beast with Konate in second, and then Gravenberch, believe it or not, in third with only 15. And then Ryan Gravenberch leads the team with interceptions at 31. Pull up my injury news here. Hannah, what's going on? Dermot. Romero and Van de both injured. Oh, wow. They're really struggling then, aren't they? Let me see here. All right. So Udogie's expected to return. Timo Werner, I forgot he played for them, to be honest, is hoping to be available after an illness. But he'll be without 8 others. Wow. Wow. Vicario will be out. Ben Davies will be out. Romero, Van den Ven, Odegaard, and Richarlison remain sidelined. And Bentancur is still suspended. Wow. That's kind of crazy. Wow. So Brennan Johnson available, Dominic Solanke available. Madison should be good to go. So their top scorers will be available, But they have a lot of key players out, guys. Vicario, who's been a revelation for them in goal, is out. Wow. It's pretty crazy. Now, in the last meeting, Liverpool beat Tottenham at Anfield 4-2 in May. Now, as I mentioned before, actually, no, I did mention this one before. Spurs have scored more goals in the opening 15 minutes of league games this season than any other team in the division. They've also conceded the fewest number in that time, just one. So going back to what Liz was saying about score early and often, we'll be going against the grain if we pull that off. Now, Tottenham have lost 3 of their 8 home league matches so far this campaign. They lost to Arsenal, Ipswich Town, and Chelsea. And Son has netted in each of his last 5 outings against Liverpool. So expect him to score today. And Steve did not quit. No, Steve's celebrating Christmas down in Florida, believe it or not, Liz, with his family. So he's not here today. Steven has not signed his new contract. No. See, I didn't see any. Maybe this must be brand new, Dermot. But this is from the official Liverpool app. Now, this could be a day old, so maybe Madison's an injury doubt as of now. But it doesn't say anything about him being out. Only thing is Liverpool will be without Connor Bradley and Konate. We are going against the grain. If the Liverpool players are awake the first 45 minutes, our first halves have been bad this season. Right. And Arne Slot has actually said that too. Several times, in fact, where, and that's one thing, I'll come back to that thought, but his halftime adjustments are remarkable. I mean, there have been so many times this year where he's made a substitution at half. I mean, think back to, it was one of his first games where he took Kwanzaa off, right? That's almost just like hey, I'm here and I'm going to do what's necessary to win the game. I'll sub off someone at halftime. I don't care. And if it was for kind of a silly reason, like he wasn't winning enough duels or we weren't as a team winning enough duels, whatever. His halftime adjustments are very good. And I do think a lot of times, you can prepare tactically for a game, but then you don't know how the team's going to play until you get out there, right? Because they're making tactical adjustments as well. So usually in first halves, there's either a stalemate because both teams are figuring each other out, or one tactical side is superior to the other, and that's when you see a bunch of goals in a first half, right? Or it's just open play. And so I think what's happened with Liverpool this season, what Arne Slot is really good at, he's very good at limiting damage and playing a good tactical setup in the first half and then changing it at halftime to exploit the opposition. He's very good at that. That's not a bad thing, right? When it becomes a bad issue is when the other team exploits our first half setup and gets a bunch of goals, which has not happened this season. I mean, it's remarkable what Arne Slot has been able to do, just picking up a team where he has no players of his own, in a sense that he is coming into a team that was strictly built by Jurgen Klopp. When have you seen that? I want everyone to take a second and think about this. When was the last time you can think of a manager in Europe, because I seriously can't, who signed for a club as their new manager and did not get a signing of his own? Right? Isn't that usually how it goes? You have a manager come into a team and they'll bring 1 or 2 players from where they used to be, right? Or just make a signing. Slot hasn't done any of that, dude. It's kind of crazy. And he's just been able to destroy other teams. I mean, what he's doing with this team is incredible. Ayler says, I always wonder what Slot says to his players at halftime. We know Klopp was famous for inspirational halftime speeches, but does Slot do it? Maybe he serves double espressos to his players. And what Trent actually said in an interview was it's the tactics, it's the attention to detail that Slot has. So I have no doubt in my mind at halftime, Slot presents his players with a full breakdown of the first half, performances on both sides of the ball, and says, this is exactly what we need to do to win this game. There's no doubt in my mind. Because there's a couple approaches you can take, right? You can take the inspirational route where you prep for the game tactically, and then during the game, it's all about inspiration. Keep going. You got this, that sort of thing. I think Slot is so dialed, guys. I think he is so... I don't know if he borders arrogance, but it's not arrogance towards us, the fans or the players. It's strictly how good and confident he is in what he's doing. It comes off as arrogance. He knows what needs to be done, and he'll say everything with no filter. And I think the players are respecting that. Right at first, everyone was a little sketched out because it wasn't the happy-go-lucky, smile all the time Jurgen Klopp that we're used to seeing over the last decade. But Arne Slot has found a way to motivate the players. And I think the players, being professionals, respect the attention to detail, as Trent said. And it is paying off on the pitch. It's unbelievable. Dermot says, Madison, if he plays, hopefully not. Solanke can see him scoring against us. Just way things are. And Son are only Spurs players that would worry about. Spurs 2, Liverpool 3, late Gakpo winner. Madison and Son are, you're absolutely right. And Solanke, right? All three of which are the top 3 goal scorers on the team. 7, 6, and 5, respectively. And look, you shut down their scoring, you win the game. And we've been very good at doing that this season. However, on paper, if you look at goal difference, these teams are pretty much identical. But Tottenham somehow have found themselves with, 7 losses? Is it 7? 7 losses, 2 draws, 7 wins. I need to go to the fixtures here because I really want to see what their latest results are. Let's do Tottenham. Here we go. All right. Woo! Destroyed Southampton 5-0. Lost to Chelsea 4-3, right? So they score a lot of goals there, but they're letting in a lot of goals. Then they lose to Bournemouth 1-0. Then they draw with Fulham, which we did as well. But then they put 4 past City, 4-0 against City. Then you lose 2-1 to Ipswich Town. You beat Villa 4-1. You lose to Palace 1-0. You beat West Ham. So there's no consistency at all to this team. None. Like, it's very, very odd. You look at this. But what I will say is the teams that are very poor, Southampton, Everton, Brentford, West Ham, they're putting goals past them. But then you put them up against any team that is even remotely good. I mean, Bournemouth, they couldn't score against. They let 4 in against Chelsea. They drew with Fulham. They lost to Ipswich, guys. I mean, I'm looking at a team here that cannot find consistency. And maybe it's because they are playing game to game against the opposition instead of playing their own style of football. Maybe that's what we need to exploit. Aylor says Kulusevski's the biggest threat at Tottenham right now, I think. 3 goals. And maybe you've been watching him a little bit more than I have, so maybe you know. I don't know. I don't know if he's the biggest goal threat. I think really Son is going to be the biggest goal threat. He always scores against us. I think him and Madison. If you're not careful, which I'm confident in our midfield, right? McAllister, Gravenberch sitting in the midfield. I'm confident that we can shut down Madison. I really am. When you let Madison create, that's when things become a problem. Okay, because he's got great players to feed. Let's say Kulusevski starts on the wing. You have great players to feed with Sung, Dominic Solanke, and Kulusevski. Right? Tottenham have talent, okay? But pound for pound, we're a way better team. And I'm telling you, this match is going to go one of two, there's only two ways this match could go. I don't see an instance where we lose. I don't see it. I don't think Tottenham have the tactical capability to go up against Arne Slot and Liverpool's squad and win. I don't see it. It's not to say it can't happen, but I don't see it. What'll happen is they will either collapse and Liverpool will beat them 4-1, 4-2, 4-0, and our firepower is just too much for them. That's the first option, okay? Or we draw. I'm telling you, that's how it's going to happen. There's no situation here where it's just kind of a 2-1 game. I don't see it. I don't think they can pull that off. I think they utterly collapse under the pressure, especially with the amount of players they have out. Or Liverpool can't score on them because they've only let in their 19 goals. I mean, they're not a bad team defensively, but I think it also comes down to the injuries, how many players they have out. Man, what do you guys think? Ayler says, Tottenham often likes to play a counterattack type of football. So if they have to dominate and control the game against lesser teams, they often get hit on the break themselves. And that's another thing that's been much better this season with Liverpool is the fact that anytime there's a break on the opposition, we're not just stuck with Van Dijk tracking back in a 2v1 or a 3v1 or Trent and Robbo sprinting back. We always have players back. And that has played such a big role in how we control games. Because there's going to be breaks. But I think we limit the breaks by our positioning and not having players so high up the pitch, not playing such a high line. Right? Everyone was critical of the high line. It's just how Klopp played. But it's so much different, and I feel so much more confident not giving up. I wonder how many goals this season we've given up on the break. I really do. Rascott says, Spurs are still decent. Don't underestimate them. And look, if you've been, I've gone through it all. On paper, Spurs are a top 4 team. Strictly based on goal difference. They can score goals. They don't let in many goals. But when they do let in goals, it seems like it's against good opposition who tactically prepare for them and they can't score, right? But then they'll put 5 past, who do they beat? Southampton. They put 5 past Southampton. There's no consistency, right? Whereas Liverpool have been very consistent. I think Tottenham are playing to their opponent, and that's going to come down to bite them. Liz says 1-3 LFC. We need to make a statement. Rocky says, with Spurs back, 5, don't get surprised if Joe Gomez opens his account. Dude, I've been waiting for that for a decade. I have been waiting for Joe Gomez to score for a decade, and the last, maybe it's been under Slot. I don't know if it's been the last 2 years, but he has gotten closer than he's ever gotten before the last couple of seasons. And I'm just waiting for that ball. I wonder what his celebration's going to be. I wonder if he'll just like fall to the ground and just spread out and just like a finally celebration. Man. Coffee break. Can we take a moment? You know, with Steve not here, we can't talk about how Chelsea are dog shit. So we can absolutely laugh at United and we can laugh at City. You know, and I will respect Pep coming out and saying, you know, the changes he needs to make, he's just going to back his players, right? At what point do you just accept like you're having a bad slide? Because how long's Pep been there? Pep's been there for 9 years, right? Maybe longer. This is the first time under Pep they've had any sort of instance like this where their form is just dog shit. I'm telling you, it'll turn around. Liverpool need to capitalize. But I have a lot of respect for Pep and how he's kind of navigating it now after the slide they've had. Because what are you going to say? You could come out and you can bitch about referees. You can bitch about all sorts of stuff. But he's like, look, I'm just going to accept this. I'll back my players. Now, I am seeing a lot of memes out there with Big Sam with the Man City patch on saying it's time, that would be the day. That would be the day. And Hannah, I couldn't. It's actually remarkable how they've collapsed. I mean, I have to look at it. I mean, they have fallen off a cliff, guys. They have fallen off a literal cliff. Hold on. Just give me a second. 2-1 loss to Villa. 2-1 loss to United. Drew with Palace. They beat Forest. But then they lost to us 2-0. Lost to Spurs 4-0. Lost to Brighton 2-1. Lost to Bournemouth 2-1. Beat Southampton, beat Wolves. Okay, so their slide in the Premier League has been rough. But then also Europe. And it's up to 130 charges. Here's my theory, guys. Bear with me. Here's my theory. Behind the scenes, right? Because I haven't been keeping up with the charges thing because I'm very much thinking that nothing's going to come of it. And that bothers me to my core. But I promise you, stuff behind the scenes is getting to the team. They know what's going on. And even though I don't know, if there is any rumblings that this is legit and that they might get in trouble for it, it's going to affect the team. Because the players are going to start thinking, oh my God, where am I going to go next? What if we get punished, we get trophies taken away, we get relegated, right? Worst case scenario. All that's going through their head, and they can't stay locked in. They're not playing their best football because that's what they're thinking about. My theory is there's some shit going down behind the scenes. And the media doesn't have a handle on it because it's very closed doors. I think City are going to get in massive trouble. Ooh. Aaron says City need Rodri back. New signings, 150 charges case to be closed. Pep signed new deal, so won't be leaving and definitely won't be sacked. A lot of people say it's because of Rodri. They're not clicking. You know, can one player make that big a difference? Yeah, sure. But it's not. Do you think it's the reason for the recent slide? I mean, they've been ass. Everton get punishment in about a month. Wow. All right, let's transition back to Tottenham, guys, and we'll go to our lineup prediction. So, with Konate out, I think Gomez starts next to Van Dijk in the center. You got Trent, Allison in goal, and Robbo. You're going with Robbo today. Midfield is Gravenberch and McAllister. I think Soboslai starts. And I think... Ooh, this is going to be tough. I think it's Diaz, Jota, and Salah. Part of me thinks Gakpo just because of his form. But I think you got Diaz, Jota, and then Salah. And then your substitutes, you got Darwin, Gakpo, Jones, Elliott, and then maybe Tsimikas? Right? That's probably what he's going to go with. What do you guys think? What are your lineup predictions? Let me know in the chat. Because the only two out are Bradley and Konate. While you guys are pondering on that, we'll go to Rocky LFC. Pep has been stubborn this season, sticking to the same tactics even though nothing is going their way. Maybe bringing Jurgen back to the Prem will motivate Pep. I've seen a lot of stuff, too, where, you know, Pep finally has a collapse after Jurgen leaves, and it's Jurgen's like, what really? Really? What? It's bound to happen, man. They've been so good for so long. You can't be that good without a slide, right? And maybe he is stubborn. You know, Jurgen Klopp was stubborn at times too. I'm convinced, and I was thinking about this too, and this is not an insult to Klopp by any means, but I really do think that at times Klopp's system, even though he did adapt it year to year, I think it was ultimately the downfall for Liverpool at times. It was so risk reward. It was so Let's get everybody as far up on the pitch as possible and just smother them in shots and pressure and press and all this. But then if they get the ball out, it's a nightmare trying to get back and defend the counterattack. And I just feel like Slot is much more methodical. It's less polarized. It's very, this is how we're going to play. We're going to limit the risk on the counterattack, but we're also going to build up play this way to give us opportunities without having to overload everyone into the final third. And so I feel like at times Klopp was his own worst enemy in that sense. But hindsight's 2020. Liz is making the prediction that Gomez scores today, and I am very much looking forward to this, guys. I mean, that would be amazing. It really would. If there's, oh my God, aside from maybe Darwin, Gomez, every time he gets close, I'm just like freaking out. I just want that man to score so badly. And for what he's done for this team, the fact that he is okay with being a cover guy, with being, look, I'll sign an extension. I'll play left back when you need me to. I'll play center back when it's open. I'll even play right back if you want me to. I'll sit the bench for 2 months and play the last 10 minutes of a match when everyone's healthy. I don't mind that. But when you call on me, I'm going to give you the best damn performance ever. And he's so good at that. And it's really been as he's matured, right? Maybe over the last 2 or 3 seasons when he has played, I mean, he's just been phenomenal. He's almost growing into like a Milner type role, but a depth Milner role where when you call on him, he just gives you a consistent performance every time. I'll give you what you need. I'm not going to be spectacular. I'm not going to be terrible. I'm going to give you exactly what you need, and you're not going to complain. And there's no one I'd rather see get a goal than someone like that, or someone get rewarded for that sort of work than Joe Gomez. Aaron says, hope Endo stays in January. It's a little bit of a sad story, is it not? I mean, he played against Southampton midweek, but just it's a system thing, man. You can really see that Endo struggles with this type of system. And he's not a bad player. He was so good last season. Exactly what we needed last season as kind of a stopgap, but he's just not. And it might be a positional thing. Maybe he is just strictly a holding guy. He can't play in a double pivot, but Endo might be gone. I don't think he's gone in January. I'd be very surprised. Mainly because of the depth, right? You don't just get rid of a player in January because you don't like him, right? You got to plan for these things. Endo was a stopgap, right? I mean, we got Gravenberch, you get Endo, and Slot still sees some use for him because he's keeping him around and he's using him, but not nearly to the extent that he was used last year because of the system. And Gravenberch has just been a revelation. He's arguably the best midfielder in the Premier League, and I've seen fans say Europe. I mean, he's remarkably good. It's unbelievable. And with that, Klopp's not relying on Endo. I mean, it's Klopp. Slot. Jesus. Slot's not relying on Endo. He doesn't need him. He's got McAllister. He's got Jones. He's got Gravenberch. He's got Harvey Elliott back now. I mean, he's been very fortunate with the health of the midfielder, so he's not really relying on him. Score predictions for today. I'm going to go back to making score predictions, I think. So as I said, it's going to go one or two ways. It's going to be a draw, or you're going to have just a blowout from Liverpool. And this is not me underestimating Tottenham, because this matchup, historically, anything can happen. Anything can happen. 90th minute winners, all sorts of stuff. This is an educated guess on what can happen, okay? And I think with all the injuries with Tottenham right now, and looking at the results and their fixture history, I think Liverpool win this game 3 or 4-1. I really believe that. And I just think it's a possession masterclass from Liverpool, I think, in my opinion. But we'll see. We'll see here shortly. I think the game's at 11:30. So we got some time before kickoff. Aaron's goes 3-1 LFC. Tony, of course, buddy. I know you don't make the predictions. I know. Absolutely. And Rocky will close out with this. Endo was good as a false center back against Southampton. If someone puts an 8 mil bid, we should let him go in January. Well, that's different. If someone puts in a bid for him, let him go. But I think at this point you really want to keep him for depth, because God forbid Gravenberch goes down injured, McAllister goes down injured. You're risking it. You need Endo there. You need at least someone who has the defensive mindset. You don't want to end up, and I know Curtis Jones could do a good job there, but you really don't want to risk having to play someone there you don't want to play there. God forbid you have to put Soboslai there, right? Or you're down to, dude, imagine if you're down to like Trey Nioni there. I mean, I love Trey Nioni. Phenomenal. I love the way he plays. But do you want to rely on Trey Nioni there versus Endo? I'll leave you with that question, guys. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Make sure you tune in every Sunday on the Sunday Summary. Chat along with us. Review the week that was Liverpool. Thank you to all our channel members. As I said at the start of the stream, you guys keep the channel going. I'm really looking forward to the match. I'll be active in the Discord today for our channel members, guys, during the match. So come join us over there, chat live. And until next time, Reds, take care.